Hello there, and welcome to you and yours once again to Yahushua's call. Yes, he's calling. He's calling his people from the four corners of this earth. And we that have ears to hear are hearing him in great measure. We're going to continue part 2 of Touch Not the Unclean. And thank you to one of my listeners who told me my camera angle was too far down. I kind of knew it, but I had started. But I thank you because it made me conscious to correct it. And that's what we're for. We're to help one another. I hope and pray that I already know you're all doing well and better than you expected at this time. Looking around you and seeing the world fall apart and in chaos, we understand the word of the Most High that these things had to come. Retribution has to be given out according to the precious word of the Most High. All right, we want to continue part 2 here on this unclean thing and telling you about how to walk through these days, obedience and faith, like the children of our ancestors did years and years and hundreds of years ago. What did they do? They walked through the Red Sea. Before even they walked through the Red Sea on dry ground, they were able to see with their own eyes, as was promised to us. Well, we see the reward, and so did they, of the wicked. Another thing, please take your ears off the social media and even some of our channels, because they're putting the focus on the wrong thing. They're not putting the focus on YAHUAH. They're putting it on Corona. And don't make Corona your God, please. It's like the whip in the hand of our Father. It's not for you. If you haven't been disobedient, you're doing all you know to do. You're trusting in him and you're eating right and you're living according to his word, then you are also entitled to the promises. All right. So let's go give you a couple of scriptures. I don't know how long this is going to go for, but we'll go until I get tired. I think last time I didn't have water, so I started coughing. I said, I hope these people don't think I got corona, but I think you know me better. So today, I'm drinking Perrier. So if you see me sip, it's because my throat's a little dry. All right. And it's the flavored kind. That's very good. I like it. All right. Let's go to Leviticus. Let's go to... I like... well, you know what? We did read most of those. Let's go back to the one we did take care of then. Let's talk about, let's go to Numbers 19:22, where it says, furthermore, Numbers 19:22, anything that is that the unclean person touches shall be unclean. So now we're talking about unclean meat. We're talking about unclean culinary habits, the pork, the swine that's causing coronavirus. And the scriptures say don't even touch not only unclean food, don't even touch unclean people. Well, what does that mean? Well, people eating pig. Excuse me. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but they're unclean. Don't touch them. It says you're not even supposed to touch a woman when she's on a period. Did you know that? According to Leviticus 15:19. All right. And don't even touch the bed she sleeps on. I mean, we're going to do this thing. We're going to do it right. Goes on to say, don't even touch anything she sits on. So, Yah has distinct things that we're to do. But we want to get our focus really back on this swine, because this is what's killing people right now. It's the coronavirus through swine. I want to pick up where I left off. We want to look at an article I found. It says, Yah's dietary laws, why pigs, crabs, and lobsters are bad for you. Well, we know. We're going to read a whole lot more than this. This is written by Susan Patterson. And we're going to read what she has to say. says Yah's dietary laws prohibit eating carnivorous animals, and that is the clue. If an animal eats other animals, if he's a carnivorous animal like a bear, a wolf, a tiger, a lion, a pig, don't eat them. And that goes for the birds and all. And if I think one of my responders or commenters did ask for a list, and if you go in this and go under this particular video, I gave him a long list of the unclean and the clean and the unclean. So please, it's there for you as well. Just as Yah created clean animals for food and byproducts that humans could use, he also created unclean animals for other reasons. Carnivores and prey animals that help to control the populations of other animals. Such is the case with mountain lion, wolves, and so on, as I've spoken. Leviticus 11:7-8 and Deuteronomy 14:8 mention specifically that pigs are unclean and not fit for human consumption, and with that we do know. Let's look at what the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the United States government, has to say about this mysterious coronavirus disease. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on this past Tuesday said the majority of evidence suggests the coronavirus started from nature. Everybody's got their take on where it started. Well, it's been in nature, yes, for a long time, and it takes Yah to release it from nature. There's a lot of rumor, speculation, variety from media, we know that, blog sites, etc. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Mark Milley told reporters when asked if he had any evidence that the virus might have accidentally escaped a Chinese laboratory. Everybody wants to know, where is it coming from? It should be no surprise to you that we've taken a keen interest in that, and we've had a lot of intelligence, got to be careful of that, take a hard look at it, and this point is inconclusive. Although the weight of evidence seems to indicate, now here's what I want you to hear, natural. But we don't know for certain. These are your leaders, the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They don't know. Well, we know it's nature. Yah created nature, and he can use nature any way he wants. He created water, and that's what he uses when he wants to stir up a flood. If the volcano is sitting there and he wants to use that, all right, as a chastisement tool for any nation, guess what? He'll erupt it. See, Yah uses the elements of this earth to punish the earth. Well, just look at Pharaoh back when Moses and Aaron went before him. Look at those plagues. If you notice, every one of those plagues, they weren't some eerie space creepy sounding stuff. It was things that had been on this earth already. And so Yah, all he has to do is have his messengers, and you call them angels, but we call them messengers, stir them up, collect them, and deposit them wherever he says they should go. So don't be so quick to pray against something that you don't understand. Coronavirus has been here for a long time. So don't get upset if you see it on the back of a disinfectant, for instance. Like some people getting, oh, look at this. This is a plot. This is, no. Coronavirus has been in this atmosphere for a long time. But it had never been unleashed. And that's the key. Because unleashed means Yah had to step in. He's the one who's unleashed this virus that has been here all along, ready for him to release whenever he wanted. I want to read you another article before I get back into our regular study. It says, top pork producer shuts key plant and warns of meat shortfall. Thank Yah for that. But let me tell you what's going on about that. It's this is from Bloomberg, and it's dated April 12th, 2020. It says the world's biggest pork producer is shutting a major U.S. plant indefinitely after a coronavirus outbreak among employees, with the company warning that closures across the country are taking American meat supplies, listen to this, perilously close to the edge of shortfalls. I hope that pork is a shortfall, don't you? Smithfield Food Incorporated will idle its Sioux Falls, South Dakota pork processing facility, which accounts for 4% to 5% of U.S. production. The company said in a statement Sunday. The move comes after state officials reported more than 200 cases of COVID or COVID-19 for plant employees, adding to a spike in infections that's seen hundreds of American meat workers get sick. I wonder why they keep saying meat workers. Why don't they just say pork workers? You got to catch these sly ones. So these pork plants are closing down. These facilities, Smithfield and this is the other one I think I had. Smithfield Foods, and there's another one I think I just mentioned. Anyway, these American pork growers are talking about closing down their plants because the people there are getting the coronavirus. But they would just say meat. Even in a pork facility, they're only going to use the word meat. Isn't that something? I want to read a short article on the same place. South Dakota refused to shut down, now faces one of the largest coronavirus outbreaks in the country. So they're blaming them slowfully shutting down. But listen to this line here from Top Line in South Dakota. It says, South Dakota, one of the 5 remaining states yet to issue a statewide stay-at-home order, now has one of the largest coronavirus outbreaks in the United States, with 300 plus cases at the world's biggest pork processor, Smithfield Foods. There you go again, raising concern about coronavirus spreading through processed meat. See how slick they are? And how South Dakota's meager rural healthcare facilities will fare with it, and how they'll fare with this disease. Key facts: more than 300 workers at Smithfield Foods, Sioux Falls, South Dakota facility tested positive for coronavirus, accounting for about half of all the statewide cases. Half of all the statewide cases. People to work at this pork plant. And making the facility now closed indefinitely. One of the largest, I want you to see that, one of the largest coronavirus hotbeds alongside the USS Theodore Roosevelt and Cook County Jail in Chicago. Smithfield Foods is the world's largest pork processor with over 45,000 employees processing meats under their nickname brand, and for companies like Nathan's Famous, Cracker Barrel, Farmland, Armour, Kishmer, John Morrell, Healthy Ones, and many more, raising concerns about the shortage of meat across America. Meat. Yeah, no, not meat. Pork. All right. Let me get into continuing in our reading from our last program. Think on these things. Know that Yah's word stands true. It's vital to our existence to listen to him, to his word, and to obey. Let's continue on our, is pork consumption tied to China coronavirus? And the answer, of course, is yes. All right, last we read about the meat of pork is a meat, but pork is the flesh of that pork teems with billions of live viruses in every few ounces. And we going to read about China again. China's pork is highly suspect as a cause. Highly suspect. In the Wuhan market, certain shoppers got sick. What did they eat? No one is saying. Surely the majority did not eat the more exotic animals. Pork would be the first suspicion for their shopping trends. Why? Because it's the least expensive, and you've got a lot of poor people in China. It's like not too many people here, you know, we do once in a while. Not too many people eat filet mignon and lobster. I'm glad we don't eat that. But I'm just saying the poorer of anybody's country wouldn't go to the more expensive meats to eat that on a regular basis. It would be the poor people that are eating this pork constantly because they want meat, and it's the cheapest meat. Other early cases were clearly not associated with the market. You hear this? Earlier cases, they were not even associated with this market. Let me tell you something. If you look up, I want you to write these two words down. Carnivorous. I want you to write down coronavirus right next to it, or you can either way. I want you to look at those two words. They're so similar. And they have exactly 11 letters. You see coronavirus, and we are told that unclean is what? It's carnivorous animals. And both of them have 11 characters. I'm not trying to make some type of theory out of this. It just kind of got my attention. And then when you put those letters together, okay, the one word is coronavirus, the other word is carnivorous. That's 11 letters. 1. And then when you look at 1, you see a lot of similarities to destruction. 9/11. You see, and you see, and I'm not a conspirator now, but sometimes it's like Satan and Santa have the same letters, and it gets your attention. Something's a foul here. It just makes you aware, not run off onto some kind of a tangent. But that 11, remember the towers in New York that were torn down, looked like 2 1s standing there, 11. And it's something how coronavirus is 11 letters, and so is carnivorous, which is where the coronavirus comes from. I'm think about, look into it. Maybe you'll even find more combinations and things you can find. Let's go on. So we know that China's pork is suspect. And we know that basically they ate pork, the multitudes. Other early cases were clearly not associated with the market, yet they did go shopping elsewhere. Did they? Did they also buy tainted pork and consume it? Did they or others possibly eat cured or smoked pork, which uncooked could have been teeming with pathogens? Other pandemics over the centuries have arose from the pig-human connection in China, including the devastating swine flu in 1957, mentioned that earlier, which globally killed 2 million. Why not here? This brings us to an article published in the Hong Kong Free Press about a pocket outbreak in a family. In early February, in a gathering of 19 relatives, at least half simultaneously were infected. It was not by someone spewing the virus through their breath. Rather, it was through eating. And that's what they're telling you it's not. But it was by eating specifically a dish known as hot pot. One word, hot pot. This is where a communal dinner involves dipping raw marinated pork and other meat or seafood in a hot broth with vegetables. Everyone together around the pot. As a New Year's tradition, it involves several forms of swine flesh, including tongue, collar, loin, bacon, sausage, and ham. Also added to the boiling broth are pig liver, intestines, and stomach. This is the worst possible, since carnivorous reside in the intestines and stomach. Oh, you chitlin eaters, cut it out. I know you say you clean them, but you should not eat them. I wouldn't even touch a chitlin now, for what I know. Precisely what type of pork the family ate is unknown, but should be investigated. 91-year-old grandmother, her grandson's father, 2 aunts, various cousins were all sickened. All tested positive for the Wuhan strain of coronavirus. What is curious is that the pork flesh was never mentioned. It never is it? This reeks of a cover-up, and that's what I was telling you earlier. It's a cover-up. This stuff is coming from the meat, pork. And it's not that it can't come from a bat. It's not that it can't come from a pangolin. This is the common meat of the poor people. Well, here lately, everybody eats pork. But now let's think about this a little more. It had to be the pork as is stipulated here. Regardless, it was a poor cooking method. Vegetables and spices could not transmit the infection. Moreover, while the seafood could cause food poisoning, this would cause positive coronavirus results. This is hard proof of a dietary connection. Well, I was telling you how Yah showed me on about this, that it was a dietary connection. That's before I read any of this. This was after Yah spoke to me. I went and investigated and found all of this information that no one is talking about. They want to blame it on 5G. Listen, Yah knew this virus was in these animals. He sent it forth to do the punishment upon the wicked that he wanted to do at the time he wanted to do it. You had all kind of things he could bring out of the ocean and things he could bring out of the mountains and under the earth. Yes, and even in pigs he can bring out to punish the wicked. And I want to stop here and say to you, Yashruelites, I like to call you Yashruelites. Your Father is doing this on your behalf. So you're all right. Don't worry, don't panic. Praise him. I don't gloat in other people's misery. But I sure do get happy when I see my Father doing his works and wonders on his children's behalf. You know, there are people are at his throne. Look in Revelation how they are begging for him to avenge their blood. And my goodness, he's doing that. And it's going to get so much. But we do not depend on this government. We do not depend on the United States or any other country. We trust in Yah. All right, let's go on. The screen went off for a minute. Goes on to say, I'm not going to read the whole article, that it had to be pork, and it was by what? It was by ingesting this pork. This poisonous, toxic pork. Okay? Now let's move on. It says, this is hard proof of that dietary connection. Their only exposure was food. And I want to go on to read a little bit about what determines animal to human or human to animal transmission of diseases. A little bit about it, not much. When a virus infects a cell, it doesn't dig a hole into the cell wall. It binds. Remember I told you like, showing me like for like. It binds to a specific site on the cell wall and tricks the cell into letting it in. So a human virus would not be able to bind to the same receptor on a mosquito cell and get into the cell and vice versa. A virus will evolve to target one species or numerous related species. Remember I told you that they evolve and they target one species or numerous related species. For example, SARS has evolved to target birds. It can infect humans, but humans still have more immunity. This is the key word, immunity, to it than birds do. Scientists are concerned, however, that after infecting a human, SARS could evolve into a species more virulent in humans. You know, we saw that bird disease. They were over there in China killing all these chickens and birds because they had gotten diseased, and they didn't want it to cross the line to a human. So they tried to destroy. I guess they did a pretty good job. SARS didn't get off the ground, but Yah didn't send it. If he had sent SARS, there's nothing they could have done. But we were still under the curse then. So if he had unleashed that on us, we probably would have been like they're lying saying today that we are the most getting it. That's the biggest lie ever told. Do your study. You look at the numbers. It's nothing like they're saying. Okay. Let's look at the word caltransference or transferase. Cal or gal transferase. Gal is short for galactose or galactose, which is a simple sugar in carbohydrate biochemistry. These sugars may be the subunits of large complicated molecules in much the same way that an amino acid is in subunit of a protein. Now this transferase is a type of enzyme, which is why it has the ASE suffix, ASE on the end of this word, which, wait for it, transfers something from one molecule to another. In this context, the gal transferase is moving a galactose sugar from a donor molecule onto a carbohydrate chain. In most cells, complex carbohydrate chains are on the outside of the cell, and mediate a lot of interesting functions like cell adhesion and motility. Of course, there are lots of carbohydrates inside the cell, but those tend to be simple sugars and are mostly used either for energy or building blocks. The upshot of the fact that carbohydrates are usually on the outside of cells is that they are often the antigens which are targeted by the immune system. For example, the antigens in the ABO blood group are all carbohydrates, and the different gene that defines the ABO blood type is actually help me get this done, a glucosidetransferase, a general term for an enzyme that transfers sugars, which either adds to sugar called N-actyl galactosamine. I think I did that good. In people with A type blood, or just plain old normal galactosamine. In people with B type blood, or nothing at all in people with O type blood. They do have a carbohydrates. It just doesn't get the last sugar residue added on. Now, why did I say all that? Which changes the structure. I'm saying pork changes the structure of your cells and makes it volatile, makes it easy for this corona to attach itself. That's what I'm saying. Hallelujah. So you can see that having or not having a certain enzyme can actually have a really big effect on whether a cell will induce an immune response. That's what I was saying earlier. You know, it's something attacking your cells, and it's not recognizing it. It's immune. It's thinking it's okay until it gets in there and start doing some very serious damage. And then that's why you see people drowning in there. They're getting the pneumonia because these things are fighting now for its life. All your antibodies are coming now, but it's a little late. It's a little too late. Not for everybody, but for some. So what does this have to do with pigs, you're asking? Well, we think we know, but let's go a little further. There is some hope that we may be able to use pig tissue. I want you to see what you're going to be doing and what people are doing in operating rooms, y'all. Because these people are for this, not me. I'm just reading some of the information that they're providing. Listen to this. They want to use pig tissue, and they're doing it. I believe they're doing it right now with heart valves and what have you. You better ask somebody when you go in for surgery what you're using. Listen to this. Use pig tissue. It's called xenotransplantation. Xenotransplantation. Xeno, that's XENOTRANSPLANTATION. That is, now listen to this, using pig organs or parts of the organs such as heart or kidneys to transplant into humans where we can't find a suitable human donor. So, you don't eat pork, you're checking on the back labels, make sure there's no gelatin, no lard, all these capsules, check them, make sure there's no pork as far as the capsules are concerned. Like I told you the other day when I went, I think we found out that you go buy, what is that, Jiffy corn bread muffin mix. And one of our sisters went in the store to get us some for the house. I don't even buy it no more. I make mine now back to making it from scratch. But she was going to get this cornmeal mix. I kid you not. And next to it, she saw vegetarian. And she was just curious. I wonder why Jiffy, I've never seen, now there's vegetarian Jiffy. So she picked up the regular Jiffy and turned it over. And sure enough, there it was. Lard, pork. All this time I have been using that cornbread. But Yah will do that. He will help us to get on the right track. We're following him. And we know, so we started buying vegetarian, and then we stopped buying it altogether. I said, you know what? You watch processed food, boxed food, bagged food, canned food. I don't care what it is. Look at the labels until you're pretty familiar. And then every now and then when you're familiar, just don't forget to look every now and then. Make sure they haven't added some kind of pork product. Again, with baked beans, I didn't think about, it wasn't pork and beans. I used to buy, you know, the Bush's baked beans. Never thought nothing of it. Didn't say pork. I won't do that again. So now, if it doesn't say vegetarian, I won't buy the baked beans. Be very careful out there, saints, because Satan is a trickster. He wants our immune systems weak. He wants these viruses to attack us. He wants us dead. But Yah is bringing light. That's why Yah says, you know, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Not knowing something is everything, because it could save your life to know certain things. But if you're not open to change, if you're not open to information that Yah wants you to have, then you're going to perish in your ignorance. All right, it goes on to say, organs. Can you imagine that? You're going for an operation and you get pig in you. I mean, they ain't going nowhere. It's going to sit there in your body as a tissue in your body. So, the major problem here is tissue rejection, which that's, of course, same with your own. The human immune system recognizes the pig tissue as foreign and destroys it. Well, the galtransferase in pigs is an enzyme which produces part of a sugar which marks the pig tissue as foreign. So, creating genetically modified pigs which lack this enzyme, or simply looking for a breed which lacks it, in the same way as some humans lack AB blood type, could be an important step forward in what? Breeding pigs for plantation. This is where we're coming to. Let me finish this out, and I'll go to another article. It is noteworthy that despite pork's taste, some people call it delicious, pork presents more harm than good to our general health. Hence, unsuitable. Hence, this is scientists, unsuitable to consume. First and foremost, pork is always associated with a variety of biological diseases and worms. According to Russell, 2006, page 150, 3 out of 6 food-borne diseases in the United States are caused by pork consumption. You know, if our people stop eating pork, their blood pressures would go down. Your knees would stop aching so much. Your joints would stop aching so much. You would be sharper in the head, because it also affects the mind. The brain, I should say. So, for instance, Trichina worm is commonly found in pork and usually attacks the muscles of the what? Heart. And this disease, corona, they're saying when the patients come out of this coronavirus, or beat this coronavirus, damage has been done to where? The heart. And the lungs, scar tissue. So when you call yourself going through a bout of it, there's damage to the body, to the organ most precious, your heart muscles, your lung tissues. This is not for us. That's why I'm showing you what people that are contracting this are going through. And you don't have to. And you're not. But I would fear if I wasn't under the umbrella of safety, the ark of safety. If the blood of the YAHUAH wasn't on my doorpost, I would be very nervous. And that's why so many people are freaking out and scared. Doing some weird things out of fear. Didn't y'all say that men's hearts are going to fail them for fear of the things that are coming upon this earth? Because they got no answers. Just dead bodies. But they won't repent either. It goes on to say, so these worms have been proven fatal in the human health before the current attempts to identify pork with such worms had been initiated. Moreover, pork contains high levels of cholesterol and lipids, which are harmful to the human health in many ways. Such accumulation levels of lipid and cholesterol in the human body are associated with heart diseases such as heart attack and high blood pressure, and should therefore be avoided at all costs. Besides, many consumers of pork diet have gained excessive weight, and because of obesity in many countries, given the fact that pork countries a lot of hormones, cholesterol, as well as antibodies, such individuals are prone to diseases of the heart, including heart thrombosis. So in conclusion of this particular writing, I want to say that manipulation of the immune system through vaccination of immunodulators are as well as recognizing alterations in the immune response induced by pathogens is critical for the successful production of pigs. So if they're going to live, we're going to die. That's what it's saying. So the very thing they need to keep them alive, because they're so filthy, means we risk our lives when we eat it. Pigs also have an excellent track record as animal models addressing many human health issues. They share many, here it is, like for like, similarities with humans, making them, for some scientists, valuable for experimenting model for human health. Well, they can experiment on whatever they want, as long as they don't put nothing of that pig inside of me. And we don't know what they're putting in this food. You know, you go to restaurants, you order a beef steak, you don't know if they fried it in lard. They don't tell you what to put it in. So I started eating more at home now. All right, this is a good one here. Pig animal models have been used for transplantation. Plantation. We already know that. Stem cells. This stuff has been going on. So when you go to a hospital for some surgery, you better check and see what valve that valve came from. Is it plastic? Is it beef? Is it human? Is it pork? Because that's where we're headed for. And if you want to read more on it, this is a short little thing. I got some highlights. It says the proven equivalence about 90% between human and pig DNA. Pork contains lots of cholesterol. We know that. Pork also contains a histamine because the pig is extremely stressed when it's slaughtered, which leads to an extreme payout of histamines, which promotes allergic reactions. Allergies? Yes. Another thing to look at is conjunctive tissues, lipids, and other substances of the pig can penetrate the mucosa of stomach and intestinal and evade lymphatics and vessels. Pigs became very sick animals with lots of diseases. Pigs are sick animals anyway. These diseases are suppressed with broad spectrum, guess what? Antibiotics. If you're eating a lot of pork, you're building up an immune system. And when it's time for you to get some antibiotics, something you need, your body's not going to function well with them because you're already full of them. And after a while, antibiotics don't do any good. That's why they try not to give you too many of them. However, the intervention in the pig's organism isn't restricted to antibiotics, but also continued with growth enhance devices. Some of you want to know why you're getting so big. That's because you're eating pig. Which let adiposin, ADIPOSEN, the pig faster. In other words, they make pigs grow fast. And guess what happens when you eat growing fast pig? You grow faster. So, now one more thing I'm going to read here about through the missing immune reaction, before I do that, let me read this up here. It says, although the flesh is cool, you gotta let me read this to you. The Central European pig grows within 6 to 7 months, about the 100-fold of its weight at birth. The birth weight of a piglet averages 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds. After littering, they go up to 16.54 pounds. Breeding and fattening adds 100. Now they're 220 to 265 pounds. Just that quick. The pig will be slaughtered. Compared with the pig, the bull needs 1 year to grow from a birth weight of 40 kilograms or 88 pounds to the weight of 1,322 to 1,764 pounds at slaughter. That means only a 15 to 20-fold weight gain in 1 year. You see the difference between a slaughter of a steer or beef than a pig? And then after slaughter, inspection, control, pork gets to the butcher or markets and reaches finally the end consumer. As a rule, it takes several days from slaughter to consumption. Although the flesh is cooled, it begins to decay very fast compared to other meats like beef or mutton. Through this fast occurring decay, it comes to an increasing formation of toxins. There's that poison, which are eaten by the consumer. The equivalent structures of humans and pigs facilitate or even promote the invasion of pork in the human organism. That can only happen because it is not seen as an exogenous substance and does not provoke any immune reaction, as I was telling you before, in the human organism. So fattening substances, toxins, and antibiotics can permeate through the mucosa of the gastrointestinal tract unfettered, unhalted, and spread into lymphs and cardiovascular system. Finally, the substances delivered by the pig reach the organs and can cause a lot of damage in the form of diseases like appendicitis, there was that myocardial infraction, epilepsy, etc. Or symptoms like the CHD, urticaria, diarrhea, etc. Through the missing immune reaction. You hear that? Missing immune reaction. People that have eaten so much pork do not have an immunity to the coronavirus. That's what I've been telling you. The permeated pork, and it has no way to fight it because it's doesn't recognize it as the enemy because there's so much of it inside. That's the truth. Permeated pork and its components like toxins or cholesterol are deposited in the body. By suppressing lymphatic nodes, the immune system gets more and more weakened. So that's why people can't fight off this disease. And some know it. I'm waiting for a world leader not to just contract it, but die from it. Ain't seen not a one of them. Think about it. I think the UK Prime Minister, they say he got it. I think there was one other, but he wasn't the president. Somebody else died of it, but they were not a leader, Merkel or Trump or any of the leaders of the countries. Isn't that something? I guess coronavirus looks at them and says, oh, you're the leader. I guess I'll skip over you. Something to it. Think about it. Somebody knows something there. All right. Let's go on, and then we're going to stop for this session and come back tomorrow, hopefully, and we'll start another session. All right, let's go. So the system gets more weakened. And I have a chart here. Let's see, can you see a little bit of it? It talks about how many deaths through apocalypse. I think that's apocalypse. I need my pronouncer. Anyway, apople, apoplexy. Oh, I got it. Apoplexy. Okay. It just tells you. I don't think you can see. Then I'm gonna put up there. Maybe you can take a picture. Now you can't see. It's backwards. Okay. Anyways, just talk about the deaths through apocalypse. Apoplexy. That's it. Okay, and it just goes on the population. First is USA at 291,000. It goes on to Germany 82,000, Israel 6,000, Saudi Arabia 23,000. And so mortality rates are affected by this cardiovascular diseases, which in a lot of cases is through the pork. All right, I'm gonna stop there. I think that you've had enough statistics. I'm telling you. Dr. H. Reckenwig mentioned that persons with a high consumption of pork will more and more compare with the animals, pigs they consume. You are what you eat, according to Scripture. And the life is in the blood. In this case, is in the flesh. Wow. The conjunctive tissues of the conjunctive tissues of the pork are particularly deposited in articulations, muscles, tendons, and conjunctive tissues. Micro molecules and peptides go where their biological origin is. He is convinced that pork is deposited in its original areas in the human body and leads to a replacement between porcine, or porcine, or I think it's porcine, or porcine, and human proteins. This transformation is outwardly shown through an abnormal growth of diverse parts of the body and adiposity. The consequence of the storage of such structures in tendons, ligaments, and cartilages are diseases like rheumatism, arthritis of the intervertebral discs, and many more. You got enough of pork? I know we don't eat it, but I'm telling you why we're not getting the disease. I'm giving you what y'all wants you to have. This is his gift to you because he loves you so much. He goes on to say that through the domestication and fattening, the pig produces lots of growth hormones, which finally deposit in the human body. And these growth hormones have effect on the growth in youth. However, these hormones can cause lots of negative effects. In that great measure, those hormones are not physiologic, but pathologic. Not physiologic, but pathologic. After all, those pathologic hormones cause no immune reaction and can provoke inadvertent effects. I think that's plenty. It has a list of what. So your immune system is a target. It becomes a target for the very thing that it should be fighting. It becomes something that's draws it to them, and ultimately to many. And I'm sorry to see the numbers, really, but I just knew that it was going to come because it's a pig-eating society, pig-eating world we live in. All of these hormones, cholesterol, histamines, sulfurs. You know what sulfurs does? Sulfur, it's gets into your membranes and causes rheumatism and so on. Toxic fatty acids. It goes on and on. You can get a list on the internet. It's just, I'm not going to read them all. It's just too many. It's too many. So you asked the question and I asked the question, where does this come from? Well, we know it's in diseased meats, but we know who called it out. Punish a wicked people, our oppressors. Yeah. And so all those lies they're telling about per capita, which is, it's erroneous. It's just stupid. It's just something they're doing to make you think that you're the one that's getting the blunt of it, not us. It's not true. The spirit is on these people that's running this earth right now, and it's causing havoc. They knew when this thing started it was going to be bigger than they could have imagined. There's no way, no economy's ever been shut down behind SARS. Nobody shut it down behind swine and so many other epidemics. So we know, I mean, not in this level, on this level. And we know that's what Yah said. He was going to hit them where their gods are, right? Money is the god of this place. Therefore, he knows what to do to punish you. I don't know. I'm just so glad to be in the number. I'm so happy to be one of the elect as you are. I'm so very happy about that. I want you to keep praying. I want you to know you have no reason to fear. You can wear your little mask if they ask you to, but no, it ain't coming from just anywhere. It's coming from our Father. And you know, when your Father loves you, He is not going to let nothing harm you. He said, I'll never leave you and I'm never going to forsake you. You don't have to worry. You all right. You got it. Just make sure you're obedient and that you're full of faith in the Most High and His Son YAHUAH. For YAHUAH is going to send Him soon, and we're going to meet Him in peace. Because, see, Satan comes and he won't find nothing in us. But when YAHUAH comes, we'll be able to go with Him. Isn't that wonderful? Until next time, you take care. Hopefully I'll be back on tomorrow and complete, because I have a lot of information. You're going to be so well schooled, and you can always come back on this video, on these videos, and you can learn firsthand what this world is up against. It's not up against you, really. It's up against your Father, and they won't win. Okay? He's taking care of His own. He's avenging His own. Rest in that. Until next time. Shalom. I wanted to, oh, wait a minute. You know what I was going to do? I was going to play you, it's okay. I'll play it next time. Play a little song we did in our fellowship I thought might encourage you. We'll do it next time. It's been an hour almost, so I'm going to let you go. You take care. I love you. Shalom.